Commander Jake Morrison stood at the viewing deck of the massive space station called Nexus Prime. The station was bigger than any city on Earth. It floated in space, between two bright suns that made everything glow with golden light. Jake had been to many places in the galaxy, but this place still amazed him. Ships from hundreds of different worlds came and went like busy insects around a hive. Today was different, though. Today, Jake felt worried. He wore his best uniform with all his medals from the wars on Mars. His hands were clean, and his boots were shiny. But none of that would matter in a few hours. Today, the Galactic Council would decide Earth's future, and Jake had a bad feeling about it. Ambassador Lisa Grant walked up to him. She looked tired. Her usually perfect hair had loose strands, and her eyes had dark circles under them. Lisa had been talking to alien leaders for weeks, trying to make deals and find friends. It had not gone well. "Any good news?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer from her face. "None," Lisa said. She looked out at the stars. Empire has been busy. They've been talking to other species, telling them that humans are dangerous. They say, we grow too fast, fight too much, and take too many risks. Jake made an angry sound. "We have never attacked anyone who did not attack us first. Our colonies follow all the rules. Pay our taxes to the council and send our young people to serve in their Peace Corps." "I know," Lisa said. "But they do not care about facts. They're scared of us, Jake. In just 300 years, we went from one planet to 23 colonies. We built ships that can travel faster than most alien ships. Our soldiers win battles even when they are outnumbered. They think we will take over the galaxy if they do not stop us now." The two humans walked through the station's main corridor. Alien beings of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some looked like giant insects with too many arms. Others were made of what looked like living crystal that sparkled in the light. There were creatures that floated in the air without wings, and others that rolled instead of walked. Most of the aliens ignored the humans, but Jake noticed the looks. Some stared with curiosity. Others looked afraid. Few seemed angry, as if humans had already done something wrong just by being there. They reached the great assembly hall. The room was enormous, with seats for thousands of beings. Each species had its own section with special air, gravity, and temperature controls. The human section was small, with only 12 seats. Jake and Lisa sat in the front row with Dr. Helen Davis, Earth's science advisor, and 9 other human representatives. Dr. Davis leaned over to them. "I have been listening to the alien scientists talk," she whispered. "They are jealous of our technology. We took their ideas and made them better. Our fusion engines are cleaner than theirs. Our computers are faster. Our weapons are more accurate. They call it stealing, but we call it learning." A deep sound filled the hall like a bell, ringing. All conversations stopped. The council session was about to begin. In the center of the room, a platform rose from the floor. On it stood High Chancellor Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire. He was 12 feet tall, with purple skin and 4 arms. His eyes glowed yellow, and when he spoke, his voice echoed from speakers all around the hall. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Vextar said, "we gather today to discuss a serious problem. The species called humans have become a threat to the peace and order we have built over thousands of years." Jake felt his anger rise, but Lisa put a hand on his arm to keep him calm. They had to listen, had to know what they were facing. Continued, "The humans reproduce too quickly. They expand too fast. They fight with a violence that shocks civilized beings. Their ships crowd our space lanes. Our colonies demand resources that belong to older, wiser species. They must be controlled before they destroy the harmony of our galaxy." A creature that looked like a tree made of metal stood up. Sounded like wind through leaves. "The Silicon Mines agree with the Zephyrians. Human technology is chaotic and unpredictable. They combine different scientific methods in ways that should not work, but somehow do. This makes them dangerous." Another alien, this one shaped like a giant jellyfish floating in a water tank, spoke next. "The Aquatic Federation has seen human expansion into water worlds. They change the planets to suit themselves instead of adapting to the planets. They show no respect for natural order. One by one, species after species stood to speak against humanity. They complained about human trade practices, human military tactics, human colonial methods, and human culture. They said humans were too emotional, too aggressive, too creative, too unpredictable. Jake wanted to stand up and shout at them, but he knew it would only prove their point. Lisa had warned him that this might happen. Galaxy's older species had controlled everything for so long that they saw any change as a threat. Finally, Vexstar called for the vote on the new restrictions. All in favor of the Millennium Accord's restrictions on the human species. Lights began to flash around the hall as each species voted, watched in horror as more and more sections lit up with yes votes. When the counting was done, the numbers appeared on a giant screen. 743 species voted yes. Only 104 voted no. Lisa stood up. Her voice was strong and clear as she spoke into her microphone. Honored representatives, these restrictions are unfair and illegal under galactic law. Humans have done nothing wrong. We have followed every rule, paid every tax, and helped in every crisis. You cannot punish us for being successful. Vexstar's laugh was like the sound of metal scraping against stone. Successful? You call your chaotic expansion successful? You call your violent nature successful? You are children playing with weapons you do not understand? You spread across the galaxy like a disease, taking what you want and fighting anyone who tries to stop you. That is not true, Lisa said, her voice getting louder. We have never started a war. We have never broken a treaty. We have never taken anything that was not freely traded or legally purchased. Legal. Vexstar made that terrible laughing sound again. We make the laws here human, and we have decided that your species must be contained. We'll reduce your military to 10% of its current size. You will stop all expansion beyond your current colonies. You will allow our inspectors to control your technology development, and you will surrender 3 of your outer colonies to our protective custody. The hall erupted in sounds from hundreds of different species. Some cheered, some made noises of approval, and a few made sounds that might have been protests. But the humans were outnumbered by hundreds to 1. Jake stood up beside Lisa. His military training took over, and his voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded troops in battle. We will never surrender our colonies. We'll never give up our right to defend ourselves. We will never bow down to bullies, no matter how many of them there are. Vexstar's 4 arms spread wide in a gesture of mock surprise. Such brave words from such a small species. But what can you do? You have 12 representatives here. We have thousands. You have 23 colonies. You have hundreds of thousands of worlds. You are alone in the galaxy, humans. No one will help you because no one likes you. Security guards began moving toward the human section. They were big creatures with armor and weapons coming to escort the humans out of the hall. Jake could see that some of the guards looked excited, as if they hoped the humans would resist. As the guards reached them, Jake activated his communicator. His message would go directly to Admiral Ben Carter on Luna Base and to every human colony in the galaxy. His words would become famous in human history. Admiral Carter, this is Commander Morrison. The vote is done. I think we are children. They think we are weak. They want to put us in a cage and throw away the key. But they are about to learn something about humans that the galaxy has never seen before. They are about to learn why every predator on Earth learned to fear the hairless. Apes who conquered their own world. He looked directly at Vexstar as the guards reached for him. We are going home now, but we will be back. And when we return, you will remember this day as the day you made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The guards grabbed Jake and Lisa and began pulling them toward the exit. But Jake noticed something as they were dragged away. Not all the aliens in the hall were cheering. Some looked worried, others looked sad. A few were watching the humans with what looked like respect. The galaxy had made its choice. Now humanity would make theirs. 6 months had passed since the humiliation at Nexus Prime. On the surface, looked like Earth was following the new rules. Human warships returned to the solar system one by one. The big military bases seemed quieter. When alien inspectors arrived at human colonies, They were welcomed with smiles and guided tours. But appearances can lie, General. Pete Hawkins stood in a secret meeting room deep inside an asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The room was carved out of solid rock and hidden from any sensors. Around the table sat 50 of humanity's best military minds, scientists and engineers. They had been working in secret for months, and today they would see the results. "Show them," Pete said to the woman at the head of the table. Captain Amy Brooks activated a holographic display. The image showed a ship that looked like an ordinary cargo vessel. It was long and ugly, with big storage containers attached to its sides. Nothing about it looked dangerous. "This is the Shadowhawk," Amy said. "On any alien scanner, it looks like a simple mining ship. But watch this." She pressed a button. The storage containers opened like flower petals. Inside were missile launchers, laser cannons, and launch bays for fighter ships. The ugly cargo vessel had become a deadly warship in seconds. "The aliens think we are following their rules," Amy continued. "They see our warships leaving and our colonies getting smaller. But they do not see this. Every civilian ship, every mining vessel, every transport can become a weapon when we need it to be." The men and women around the table smiled. It was the first time many of them had smiled since Nexus Prime. Engineer Roy Kim stood up next. He was a thin man with quick hands and bright eyes. "We have been busy in the outer system," he said. "The aliens think we are just mining asteroids for metal, but we are building something else." Another hologram appeared. This one showed a massive construction site hidden in the shadow of a giant asteroid. Thousands of workers in spacesuits were building something that looked like a cross between a factory and a fortress. "We call it the Forge," Roy said. "Can build 100 ships a day using materials from the asteroids. The aliens will never find it because it moves. Every few weeks we attach rockets and fly it to a new hiding place." Colonel Susan White was the next to speak. She was a small woman with gray hair and cold eyes. She had spent her life gathering secrets, and now she had the most important secrets in the galaxy. "Our spies are everywhere," she said. "We have people working on alien ships, in alien governments, and in alien military bases. What we have learned will surprise you." She activated her own display. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of colored dots. "The red dots are species that voted against us," Susan said. "The green dots are species that voted for us. But the yellow dots are the most interesting. These are species that voted against us, but do not really want to fight us." She pointed to a cluster of yellow dots. "The Mantis Collective voted against us because the Zephyrians threatened to attack them if they did not. The Silicon Mines voted against us because they were promised new technology. The Nomad clans voted against us because they were lied to about what humans had done." "What does this mean?" asked Pete. "It means we are not as alone as they want us to think," Susan said. "Many species fear the Galactic Council more than they fear us. Some of them are already talking to our agents. They want to help, but they are scared." The meeting continued for hours. They talked about weapons and ships and battles. They made plans for attacks and defenses. The most important part came at the end, when Dr. Helen Davis stood up. Helen had been working with a team of scientists to study alien technology. They had been taking apart every piece of alien equipment they could find and learning how it worked. "We have made a breakthrough," she said. "The aliens think their technology is too advanced for us to understand. They are wrong." She showed them a small device that looked like a metal cube. "This is a quantum tunnel generator. The aliens use it to move their ships across the galaxy instantly. They think it is impossible for humans to build one." And pressed a button on the cube. It began to glow with blue light. "We built this one last week. It is better than anything the aliens have. It can move bigger ships farther distances with less power. We took their idea and made it work better." The room was silent for a moment. Then Pete began to laugh. Soon everyone was laughing.
How the aliens
Thought humans were too stupid to understand their technology. But humans had done more than understand it. They had improved it. "How many of these can we build?" Pete asked. "As many as we need," Helen said. "We have the plans, we have the materials, and we have the workers. In 6 months, every human ship will have one." Pete stood up and looked around the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have work to do. The aliens think they have put us in a cage. But they made one mistake. They forgot to check if the cage could hold us. Over the next 3 months, humanity became very busy. On the surface, everything looked normal. Human ships stayed in human space. Human colonies followed the new rules. When alien inspectors came to visit, they found everything exactly as it should be. But in the darkness between the stars, things were happening. The Forge moved from asteroid to asteroid, building ships that looked like civilian vessels but carried enough weapons to destroy alien battle cruisers. Secret bases were built in dead star systems where no alien ever went. Communication networks were established using quantum tunnels that alien sensors could not detect. Captain Amy Brooks led missions deep into alien space. Her ship, the Shadowhawk, could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. She and her crew gathered information about alien military bases, government buildings, and supply routes. They never attacked, never revealed themselves, never left any trace that they had been there, but they learned everything. Colonel Susan White's spy network grew larger every day. Human agents got jobs on alien worlds, alien ships, and alien space stations. They looked like ordinary workers, but they were gathering secrets that would change the course of the war. The most surprising discovery came from an agent on the Zephyrian homeworld. The Zephyrians were not as united as they appeared. Many of their own people disagreed with the war against humanity. Some Zephyrian military officers thought the restrictions on humans were unfair. A few were even willing to help engineer. Roy Kim worked day and night to build new weapons. He combined human creativity with alien technology to create things that should not have been possible. Missiles that could punch through any shield, lasers that could cut through any armor, fighters so fast that alien gunners could not track them. The most important work was done by Dr. Helen Davis and her team. They studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They learned how alien ships worked, how alien weapons functioned, and how alien defenses operated. More importantly, they found the weaknesses. Every alien technology had flaws. The Zephyrian shields were strong against energy weapons but weak against physical attacks. The Crystalline Collective's armor could stop lasers but not explosives. The Silicon Mind's computers were fast but could be confused by random signals. Aliens had been using the same technology for thousands of years. They had never needed to improve it because no one had ever challenged them. But humans were different. Humans always looked for ways to make things better, faster, stronger. As the months passed, alien inspectors continued to visit human worlds. They always found the same thing: humans following the rules, staying in their assigned space, and causing no trouble. The inspectors wrote reports saying that the restrictions were working, that humans had learned their place. They had no idea what was really happening. The first sign of trouble came when a Zephyrian patrol ship disappeared near the edge of human space. The aliens searched for days but found no trace of it. They assumed it had suffered a mechanical failure and exploded. They were wrong. Captain Amy Brooks and her crew had captured the ship and its crew. The Zephyrians were now prisoners on a secret human base, and their ship was being studied by human engineers. Every system, every weapon, every piece of equipment was taken apart and analyzed. More ships began to disappear. Always small ones, always near the edges of space where accidents could happen. The aliens never found any wreckage, any survivors, or any clues about what had happened. But the humans were learning. The final piece of the puzzle came from an unexpected source. A group of alien traders contacted Colonel White's agents. These traders belonged to a group called the Free Traders, and they did not like the Galactic Council. They had been hurt by the Council's rules and wanted revenge. The Free Traders offered to help humanity in exchange for protection and new trade agreements. They could provide information about alien military movements, supply routes, and weak points in their defenses. Most importantly, they could provide ships and equipment without anyone knowing where they came from. General Pete Hawkins stood in the same secret meeting room where this had all started. 6 months had passed since that first meeting, and everything had changed. The walls were now covered with star maps, ship designs, and battle plans. The table was surrounded by twice as many people as before. "Are we ready?" Pete asked. "Captain." Amy Brooks nodded. "The Ghost Fleet is complete. 200 ships that look like civilian vessels but fight like warships. They are." The war began at exactly 12 o'clock Galactic Standard Time on a Tuesday. Captain Tom Parker stood on the bridge of his ship, the Vengeance. To any alien scanner, it looked like a simple cargo vessel carrying mining equipment to the outer colonies. But Tom knew better. Hidden beneath the fake cargo containers were enough weapons to destroy a battle fleet. "Target acquired," said his weapons officer, Lieutenant Dan Murphy. "Zephyrian supply convoy," just like the intelligence reports said. 3 cargo ships and 2 escort vessels. Tom looked at the display screen. The alien ships were moving slowly through space, carrying supplies to a military base near the edge of Zephyrian territory. The aliens had no idea that human ships were watching them. "Remember the plan?" Tom said to his crew. "We hit hard and fast. No survivors to report what happened. Make it look like an accident." The Vengeance dropped out of quantum tunnel space directly behind the alien convoy. The Zephyrians had no time to react. Tom's ship opened fire with missiles and lasers, destroying 2 cargo ships in the first few seconds. The escort ships tried to fight back, but they were designed to fight other alien vessels that followed predictable battle patterns. Human ships did not follow any patterns. The Vengeance flew in wild spirals, firing weapons from angles that should have been impossible. In less than 5 minutes, all 5 alien ships were destroyed. Tom's crew quickly collected any useful debris and jumped back into quantum tunnel space. To anyone investigating later, it would look like the convoy had suffered a catastrophic engine failure, but this was just one attack. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Major Kate Lewis led her Marines in a boarding action against an alien space station called Kepler Station. The station was supposed to be heavily defended, but Kate's intelligence was perfect. She knew exactly when the guard shifts changed and which airlocks were least protected. Kate and her 50 Marines used small, fast ships to approach the station from its blind spots. They wore special armor that human engineers had designed by studying alien weapons. The armor was light and flexible, but could stop any alien energy weapon. Remember, Kate told her Marines as they prepared to board the station, "These aliens have never fought humans in close combat. They do not know what we can do with knives, fists, and improvised weapons. Show them." The Marines cut through the station's hull with plasma torches and poured into the corridors. The alien defenders were completely unprepared for human tactics. They were used to formal battles with rules and honor. Humans did not fight with rules. Kate's Marines used every dirty trick they knew. They threw grenades around corners, crawled through air vents to attack from behind. They used the station's own equipment as weapons, turning maintenance tools into deadly instruments. The alien garrison surrendered after 2 hours of fighting. They had never seen anything like human Marines in action. The aliens were physically stronger and had better weapons, but they could not match human creativity and aggression in close combat. "Station secured," Kate reported to General Hawkins. "We have captured 40 alien prisoners, their computer systems, and enough supplies to last a month." The aliens never knew what hit them. Meanwhile, in space near the Crimson Nebula, Commander Alex Stone was proving that human pilots were superior to any alien fighter jockeys in the galaxy. Alex led a squadron of 20 human fighters against a patrol of 60 alien ships. The aliens had better weapons, stronger shields, and more experience, but they had never fought against human pilots. "Listen up, Reapers," Alex said to his squadron over the radio. These aliens fly like they are following a computer program?" "They are predictable. We are not. Use that against them." The battle began when the alien fighters detected the human ships. The aliens formed up in perfect formation and began their attack using standard military tactics that had worked for thousands of years. Alex's fighters scattered in all directions, each pilot using their own tactics. Some flew straight at the enemy ships, firing all weapons. Others looped around behind the aliens and attacked from unexpected angles. A few pilots actually rammed their ships into alien fighters, ejecting at the last second and letting their unmanned ships become guided missiles. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their formation broke apart as human fighters attacked from every direction at once. The alien pilots were trained to fight in organized groups, but humans fought as individuals who worked together. "This is impossible," one alien pilot transmitted before his ship was destroyed. "They fight like madmen. They have no formation, no strategy, no plan." But the aliens were wrong. The humans did have a plan. The plan was to be unpredictable, too. Use their creativity and willingness to take risks as weapons. When the battle was over, 53 alien fighters had been destroyed. Alex had lost only 5 of his pilots, and 2 of those had ejected safely and were picked up by rescue ships. "Command, this is Reaper 1, Alex reported. "Enemy fighters eliminated. The sky belongs to us now." The attacks continued for weeks. Human ships appeared without warning, struck their targets, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Alien military bases were destroyed by ships that looked like civilian vessels. Supply convoys disappeared without a trace. Space stations were captured by Marines who seemed to appear out of nowhere. The aliens had no idea how to respond. They increased their patrols, but human ships could travel instantly across the galaxy using quantum tunnels. They strengthened their defenses, but humans always found new ways to attack. They tried to predict where humans would strike next, but humans never followed any pattern. Dr. Carl Bishop, scientist who had become a military strategist, studied every alien species in the Galactic Council. He learned about their biology, their psychology, and their military traditions. Then he used that knowledge to design attacks that would cause maximum fear and confusion. "The Zephyrians are proud warriors," he explained to a group of human commanders. "They believe in honorable combat and formal challenges. When we attack without warning and disappear before they can fight back, it terrifies them more than any weapon could. The Silicon Minds are logical creatures who hate chaos," he continued. "When we use random tactics and unpredictable strategies, their computer brains cannot process what is happening. They become paralyzed by uncertainty. The crystalline collective values order and precision above all else. When we create disorder and strike at random targets, we attack their deepest beliefs about how the universe should work." Carl's psychological warfare was just as effective as human weapons. Alien crews began refusing dangerous assignments. Some alien ships returned to base rather than risk encountering human raiders. A few alien colonies even asked for protection from their own governments. The most important victory came when Captain Nick Johnson and his crew captured the Zephyrian super-dreadnought Infinite Dominion. The Infinite Dominion was the pride of the Zephyrian fleet. It was 3 miles long and carried enough weapons to destroy an entire human colony. The Zephyrians thought it was impossible to defeat. They were wrong. Nick's ship, which looked like an ordinary transport vessel, approached the dreadnought, while pretending to be a supply ship bringing food and equipment. The Zephyrians never suspected that a simple cargo hauler could be a threat to their most powerful warship. When Nick's ship docked with the dreadnought, 50 human Marines poured out of hidden compartments. They had studied the ship's blueprints for months and knew exactly where to go. While the Marines fought their way to the bridge, Nick's engineers took control of the ship's computer systems. The battle for the ship lasted 6 hours. The Zephyrian crew was brave and fought hard, but they were not prepared for human tactics. The humans used the ship's own systems against its crew, cutting off air to some sections while flooding others with sleeping gas. When the battle was over, the humans had captured the most powerful ship in the Zephyrian fleet. They renamed it New Terra and made it the flagship of their growing battle fleet. "This is impossible," the Zephyrian admiral transmitted when he learned what had happened. "How can primitive humans defeat our most advanced technology?" The answer came from General Pete Hawkins himself. "You made the mistake of thinking that better technology always wins. But technology is just a tool. What matters is the person using the tool. And humans are very good at using tools." The news of human victories spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. Some aliens were terrified. Others were angry. But a few were impressed. On the world of Mantis Prime, the insect-like Mantis Collective held an emergency meeting. They had voted against humanity at the Galactic Council because the Zephyrians had threatened to attack them. But now they were reconsidering. "The humans fight with courage and honor," said the Mantis Queen. They attack military targets, not civilians. They treat their prisoners well. They fight for freedom, not conquest. Perhaps we chose the wrong side, said one of her advisors. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds. The galaxy was beginning to realize that humans were not the savage monsters that the Zephyrians had described. They were skilled warriors fighting for their right to exist, but the Galactic Council was not ready to admit their mistake. Instead, they decided to escalate the conflict. High Chancellor Vexstar appeared on communication screens across the 1 year after the war began. Fleet Admiral Ryan Clark stood on the bridge of the captured ship New Terra, the massive dreadnought, become the symbol of human resistance across the galaxy. Its 3-mile-long hull was now painted with the blue and white colors of Earth. Human fighters flew patrol around it like protective birds. Ryan looked at the tactical display showing the current battle. 12 human fleets were attacking alien positions across 6 different star systems at the same time. This was the new human strategy that the aliens called the Swarm Doctrine, and it was driving them to desperation, Report Ryan said to his communications officer. Okay, well, fleets are in position, Admiral. Lieutenant Sarah Kim replied. Fleet Alpha is attacking the Zephyrian shipyards at Tau Ceti. Fleet Beta is hitting the supply depot at Wolf 359. Fleet Gamma is engaging the alien patrol base at Proxima Centauri. Ryan nodded. The Swarm Doctrine was simple, but deadly. Instead of fighting one big battle, humans attacked everywhere at once. The aliens never knew where the next strike would come from. They had to defend everything, which meant they could defend nothing properly. What about the alien response? Ryan asked. They're sending reinforcements to Tau Ceti, Sarah reported. But by the time they arrive, Fleet Alpha will be gone, and Fleet Delta will be attacking their base at Kepler 442. This was the genius of human tactics. While aliens spent days moving their fleets from one battle to another, human ships could travel instantly using quantum tunnels. By the time alien reinforcements arrived at one battle, the humans were already fighting somewhere else. Captain Grace Martinez, who had been Earth's ambassador before becoming a military leader, approached Ryan with a datapad. Admiral, we have good news from the diplomatic front. 3 more species have agreed to join the Resistance Coalition. The Resistance Coalition was Grace's greatest achievement. While the military fought battles in space, she fought a different kind of war in the shadows of galactic politics. Her job was to convince alien species that the Galactic Council was their enemy, not humanity. The Mantis Collective has officially withdrawn from the Council, Grace continued. They are offering to share their biotechnology with us. The Silicon mines are still neutral, but they have stopped providing computer systems to the Council forces. And the Nomad clans have agreed to attack Council supply lines. Ryan smiled. How many species are with us now? 47 have joined. The coalition openly, Grace said. Another 63 are helping us secretly. The Council is losing support faster than they are losing ships. This was the war that most people did not see. While human fleets fought alien armies in space, Grace and her team of diplomats were winning hearts and minds across the galaxy. They showed alien species recordings of council meetings where the ruling powers discussed other species like they were property to be controlled. Many aliens were shocked to learn how their own governments really felt about them. The Aquatic Federation discovered that the Council had been stealing water from their worlds for centuries. The Tree People learned that the Council had been cutting down their sacred forests to build military bases. The Stone Shapers found out that the Council had been mining their holy mountains without permission. Captain Lisa Kim, commander of the peacekeeping fleet, brought Ryan more good news. Admiral, the liberation of Kepler 442b is complete. The human colonists are free, and the alien occupation force has surrendered. Kepler 442b had been one of the 3 human colonies that the Council had demanded in their original ultimatum. For a year, alien troops had occupied the planet and treated the human colonists like prisoners. But now human marines had landed and driven out the occupiers. What about casualties? Ryan asked. Light on our side, Lisa reported. The colonists helped us by providing intelligence about alien positions. The occupation troops surrendered quickly once they realized they were surrounded. This had become a pattern. Alien soldiers were trained to fight other aliens who followed the rules of civilized warfare. But humans did not follow those rules. Human tactics were unpredictable, chaotic, and terrifyingly effective. Many alien units chose to surrender rather than face human troops in battle. The biggest change in the war came from Chief Engineer Maya Patel and her team of scientists. They had spent the years studying captured alien technology and combining it with human innovations. The results were weapons and ships that even the humans had not thought possible. "Show him the new fighters," Maya said to her assistant. On the main screen appeared the image of a small, sleek spacecraft that looked like it was made of liquid metal. It was beautiful and deadly at the same time. "We call it the Wraith," Maya explained. "It uses crystalline collective armor technology combined with human stealth systems. No alien sensor can detect it. It can fly through enemy fleets like a ghost and strike without warning." "How fast is it?" Ryan asked. "Faster than anything the aliens have," Maya said proudly. "We took their best engine design and made it work. Twice as efficiently. A Wraith can outrun any alien fighter and outmaneuver any alien missile." But the most important innovation was not a weapon. It was a communication system that changed everything. "We have cracked the Council's communication codes," Maya continued. "We can now listen to all their military transmissions, read all their battle plans, and even send false orders to their fleets." This was the breakthrough that would win the war. For the first time in galactic history, an enemy could hear everything the Council said and see everything they planned. Human commanders now knew about alien attacks before the alien soldiers did. The effects were immediate and devastating. Alien fleets would arrive at human positions only to find them empty. Alien supply convoys would be attacked at exactly the moment when they were most vulnerable. Alien commanders would receive orders to move their ships to locations where human fleets were waiting in ambush. The most spectacular example came during the Battle of the Three Suns. Admiral Ryan Clark had intercepted communications about a massive alien attack on the human colony of New Hope. The aliens were sending their largest fleet ever assembled, over 3,000 ships commanded by High Chancellor Vextar himself. But Ryan was ready for them. When the alien fleet arrived at New Hope, they found what appeared to be a small human defense force. Vextar ordered his ships to attack, confident that his overwhelming numbers would win an easy victory. But it was a trap. As soon as the alien fleet entered the star system, human ships appeared from quantum tunnels on all sides. Ryan had positioned his forces in the shadows of the Three Suns, making them invisible to alien sensors until it was too late. The battle was a massacre. Alien ships designed to fight in formation were helpless when attacked from multiple directions. At once, human ships used hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and disappearing before the aliens could respond in 6 hours. The largest alien fleet in galactic history was reduced to scrap metal floating in space. High Chancellor Vextar's flagship was captured intact, and the Chancellor himself was taken prisoner. "This is impossible," Vextar said when he was brought before Ryan on the bridge of New Terra. "Your species is primitive. Your technology is inferior. How are you defeating us?" Ryan looked at the alien leader who had started this war with his arrogance and hatred. "You never understood what you were fighting," he said. "Thought this was about ships and weapons. But wars are won by people, not machines, and humans are very good at war." The capture of Vextar was broadcast across the galaxy. Seen there. Supreme leader in human hands broke the spirit of many alien forces. Some species began withdrawing their ships from council fleets. Others started negotiating secret peace deals with human diplomats. But the most important moment came when Professor Dan Miller, a human historian and political scientist, made a discovery that changed everything. Dan had been studying the captured council archives, learning the true history of the galactic government. What he found was shocking even to humans who thought they knew how corrupt the council was. "They have been lying to everyone for thousands of years," Dan announced at a meeting of human leaders. "The council is not a democracy. It is not even a republic. It is a dictatorship run by 5 ancient species who use the other races as slaves. Dawn showed them documents that proved the Council had been stealing resources from member species, suppressing their development, and even conducting secret experiments on their populations. The worst revelation was that the Council had destroyed dozens of species that had tried to resist their control. "We have to show this to the galaxy," Grace Martinez said. "Every alien needs to see what their government has been doing." The humans launched what they called the Revelation Protocol. Using the captured communication systems, they broadcast the secret Council documents to every world in the galaxy simultaneously. No alien government could stop the transmission or censor the information. The effect was electric. On world after world, alien populations rose up against their governments. The Aquatic Federation declared independence from the Council. The Tree People elected new leaders who immediately joined the Resistance Coalition. The Stone Shapers began a revolution that toppled their Council-appointed rulers. Within days, the Galactic Council went from controlling 847 species to barely holding on to 200. The rest had either joined the... 3 years after the war began, President Maria Santos stood at the window of her office on Nexus Prime, the same space station where humanity had been humiliated, was now the center of a new galactic government. But instead of the old council, chambers where a few species ruled over many. There was a new assembly hall where every species had an equal voice. Maria was tired. The war had ended 6 months ago, but building peace was proving harder than winning battles. Every day brought new problems to solve, new disputes to settle, and new decisions to make. But she had help from people she trusted. General Paul Wright knocked on her door and entered the office. Paul had been in charge of the military occupation of former Council territories, but his job was ending. The last alien armies had surrendered, and the final war crimes trials were finishing. "The Zephyrian court has reached its verdict," Paul said, handing her a datapad. "Former High Chancellor Vextar has been found guilty of crimes against peace and sentenced to life imprisonment. His generals who participated in the oppression of other species will serve 20 years each." Maria nodded. The trials had been difficult, but necessary. The galaxy needed to see that the humans were not interested in revenge, only justice. Human judges had worked alongside alien judges to ensure the trials were fair and followed galactic law. "What about the reconstruction?" Maria asked. "Moving ahead of schedule," Paul reported. "The forge stations are now building civilian ships and equipment instead of weapons. We have restored power to 37 worlds that were damaged in the fighting. Food and medical supplies are reaching every planet that needs them." This was the part of the war that most people did not see. While human fleets had been fighting battles, other humans had been planning for peace. Engineers had designed new cities to replace destroyed ones. Doctors had prepared medical aid for wounded civilians. Teachers had written new textbooks, too. Replaced the propaganda that alien children had been forced to learn. Captain Lisa Kim entered the office next. She commanded the peacekeeping fleet that now patrolled the galaxy to prevent conflicts before they could start. "The situation on Mantis Prime is stable," she reported. "The new democratic government is working well. The Tree People have elected their first parliament in 1,000 years. Even the Silicon Mines have agreed to join the Free Worlds Alliance." Free Worlds Alliance was humanity's greatest achievement. Instead of conquering the galaxy, humans had helped create a new government based on freedom and equality. Every species, no matter how small or weak, had the same rights and the same voice in the Galactic Assembly. Professor Dan Miller, who had discovered the Council's secret crimes, brought the most important news of all. "The new Galactic Charter has been ratified," he announced with a smile. 412 species have voted to accept it. The old Galactic Council is officially dissolved, and the Free Worlds Alliance is now the legal government of the galaxy. The Charter was a document that guaranteed basic rights to every living being in the galaxy. Freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom from oppression, and the right to choose their own leaders. It was based on human ideas about democracy and rights, but it had been written by representatives from dozens of species. Maria felt a moment of satisfaction. The document she was holding would protect the freedom of trillions of beings for generations to come, but her moment of peace was interrupted by an urgent communication. President Santos, her communications officer, said, "We have a situation developing in the Outer Rim. A group of former Council loyalists has taken control of 3 star systems and declared independence. They are calling themselves the true Galactic Empire." Maria sighed. There would always be someone who preferred the old ways, who thought that might made right and that the strong should rule over the weak. But she was ready for this challenge. "General Wright," she said, "prepare a peacekeeping force. But remember, we do not invade. We liberate. Show the people in those systems that they have a choice." Paul saluted. "Understood, Madam President. Hearts and minds, not bombs and bullets." This had become the human way of dealing with conflicts. Instead of destroying their enemies, they tried to show them a better path. Instead of ruling through fear, they led through example. The crisis in the Outer Rim was resolved within weeks. When the peacekeeping fleet arrived, they found that most of the people in the rebellious systems wanted nothing to do with the old Council ways. The true Galactic Empire collapsed when its own citizens chose freedom over oppression. 6 months later, Maria stood in the new assembly hall watching representatives from 500 species debate the creation of a joint exploration program. The hall was nothing like the old council chambers. Instead of elevated seats for important species and lower seats for lesser ones, everyone sat at the same level. Instead of a single ruler giving orders, there was open discussion and democratic voting. The debate was about sending joint expeditions to explore the far edge of the galaxy, where new worlds and possibly new life forms might be discovered. The old council had forbidden such exploration because they were afraid of finding species that might threaten their power. But the new government saw exploration as an opportunity to make friends and learn new things. The motion passes announced. The Speaker of the Assembly, a wise old being from the Crystal Collective. The Free Worlds Alliance will fund 10 exploration missions over the next 5 years. Each mission will include representatives from at least 5 different species. Maria smiled as she watched the vote. Humans, aliens, and beings that did not fit into either category were all working together to build something better than had ever existed before. Admiral Ryan Clark, now retired from active duty, joined her in the viewing gallery. The old warrior looked peaceful for the first time since she had known him. "Do you think it will last?" he asked, watching the assembly at work. "As long as we remember why we fought," Maria replied. "We did not go to war to conquer the galaxy. We went to war to free it. As long as humans remember that lesson, this alliance will survive." Ryan nodded. "The young ones will remember. I make sure to tell them the story every chance I get." The story had already become legend. Children across the galaxy learned about the humans who refused to be caged, who fought impossible odds, and who chose to build peace instead of seeking revenge. But the most important part of the story was not about the fighting. It was about what came after. In the years that followed, the galaxy became a different place. Trade flourished between species that had once been enemies. Scientific discoveries were shared freely instead of being hoarded by the powerful. Art and culture spread from world to world, creating new forms of beauty that no single species could have imagined alone. The humans who had started the war were growing old, but their children were growing up in a galaxy where freedom was not a dream, but a reality. Young humans served alongside young aliens in the exploration fleets, the peacekeeping forces, and the scientific missions that pushed the boundaries of knowledge. 50 years after the war ended, an old Admiral Ryan Clark stood in a garden on New Nexus, the capital world of the Free Worlds Alliance. The garden was filled with plants from hundreds of different worlds, growing together in harmony. Each species of plant was different, but they all shared the same soil and the same sunlight. A young alien child. One of the crystal people approached him with curiosity in her glowing eyes. She had learned about the old days in school, but it was hard for her to imagine a galaxy where some species ruled over others. "Admiral Clark," she said in the universal language that all children learned in school, My teacher told us that you fought in the Freedom War. She said humans fought against impossible odds to free the galaxy. Why did you do it? Ryan looked down at the child, remembering another young being who had asked him a similar question many years ago. His answer then had become famous throughout the galaxy, and it was still true today. Because someone had to, he said gently. Because it was right. Because that is what humans do. When we see injustice, we fight it. When we see oppression, we resist it. When we see suffering, we try to stop it. Not because we expect rewards or recognition, but because it is the right thing to do. The child nodded thoughtfully and ran back to her friends, who included humans, mantis people, tree folk, and beings from dozens of other species. They played together without thinking about the differences between them, because in their world, those differences were celebrated rather than feared. Ryan watched them play and smiled. This was what they had really been fighting for. Not territory or resources or power, but the simple right of all beings to live freely and choose their own destiny. As the twin suns of New Nexus set in the alien sky, painting the garden in colors that no human had ever seen before the war, Ryan felt a deep satisfaction. The galaxy was free, and it would remain free as long as there were beings willing to fight for freedom. The humiliation at Nexus Prime seemed like ancient history now. The species that had once dismissed humans as primitive children now looked to them for leadership and inspiration. But humans had learned something important too. True strength did not come from weapons or technology or the ability to destroy enemies. True strength came from the courage to do what was right, even when it was difficult.